Shit, is this a spaceship?
How you doing?
Shit, I already know how to get in the thing. I guess that leaves that up to you. I got to tell you a story about one of these vehicles. Of course, you're very familiar with it. You're driving, right?
Well, it's driving, but yes, I am familiar with it.
It is pretty cool. My son was in Florida 2 weeks ago, and he rented a car, but their flight was late. He didn't get in till 1 a.m.
Oh,
and
wow.
he went to the rental place, and the only thing they had left was one of these. And so they said, "Here it is. Take it away." Oh, this is an automatic drive thing?
Yes.
Holy jeez.
Yep, it's full self-driving.
This is going to be interesting. So anyway, he and his wife and kids went out to the vehicle, and they couldn't even figure out how to turn it on. And it's 1 a.m. in the morning, and they're out there in this dark parking lot, and nobody showed them shit, you know.
Yeah, they do have a little bit of a learning curve.
There is some learning curve. Now, if you get the proper instruction,
yeah, it's not terrible. I think probably
it's some new learning is what it is. If you learn what to do, then it could be pretty cool.
I think the thing that most people who aren't familiar with them find the most confusing is the doors. That they're not all that intuitive. We're used to kind of pulling on them.
Yeah.
These
are called
on all of them you push.
Well, these are aircraft doors.
Yeah, the Falcon Wing there.
And, you know, they're flush and they're cool, and I like them. You know, I owned an airplane for 10 years, and so I'm familiar with airplane doors.
Is that right? You're a pilot?
Private pilot.
Okay.
But that's how I got familiar with airplane doors. I had one for 10 years.
Yeah, so you know about cool technology then.
Well, I spent 30 years with IBM.
Oh, is that right?
And I was in the technology business in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And that's back when the computers were still in.
Yeah.
Did you know, I'll tell you a fact about IBM. IBM's revenue today is 85% services. They're virtually out of the computer business.
Isn't that interesting? Big Blue, you know?
15% of the revenue is hardware.
Yep.
And that's not even computers. That's, disk storage and all hardware stuff. 15%. Holy jeez.
A little bit of a shift, right?
I'd say so.
So it looks like we've got about a 45-minute drive. I guess traffic's heavy.
Well, this is a tough time of day.
Yep.
Is this a Model 3?
This is a Model X.
Say X?
X.
X, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But something I've noticed, just don't mean any disrespect, but something I've noticed about Tesla drivers in general, they're zipping by. You're going along at 40 or 50, and they go by at 65.
Yeah,
Cutting in and out of traffic and everything, because the vehicles are so powerful and maneuverable. They're fun to drive, and you can probably identify with that, being an owner. How long have you had this?
What is today? About a month and a half.
Month and a half. Okay, you're a pretty new owner.
I am, but I'll tell you, as soon as I experienced this, I was sold. I sold my truck and went and bought it.
So how much are these new?
This model, brand new, is about 90,000.
90. Woo! That's more than a few shekels.
It is more than a few shekels. Yeah, but I sold a big F-350 pickup truck to buy this.
So do some of them models have non-driving, the automatic driving technology?
So that's a feature that you can purchase on any one of their cars.
But it's an extra. You got to put.
Yes.
It's an add-on.
So you can use it or not on any one of their cars. Yes.
And so how much does that add to the base price? Do you have any idea?
Yes. So if you buy it outright, it's $8,000.
8. Okay.
Or you can pay $99 a month for it.
For the rest of your life?
Yes.
Yep.
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 99 a month. That's a rental kind of thing, huh?
Yes, it is. But I mean, there are benefits to that. Like you can cancel anytime. There are downsides to it too. Like what happens if that subscription cost increases in time, which I'm sure it will.
But if you do this drive professionally, having an automatic drive thing would be an ideal feature to have.
You know, so you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, I'm just watching the car.
You're just making sure it doesn't make any mistakes.
Yes. Yeah, kind of like autopilot on a plane. I mean, I'm just supervising. But even when I'm not driving professionally, like I very rarely ever actually drive this car. Because this is so unbelievable. And you don't realize like how intensive it is to drive, you know, the processes that are happening until you don't have to think about it.
Well, this is a real treat to get to ride in this. It's worth the price of admission.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you get to experience it.
Yeah, it's great.
So McLean's RV, I've never heard of them.
Yeah, they got 3 dealerships here in the area. But I'm a new RV owner, and I can tell you the bottom line is they never get involved with that, ever.
Well, I have 2.
Really?
Yeah, and I would agree with you.
Yeah. I've got a Class A, an older one. You got a Class A?
No, I have a 37-foot toy hauler bumper pool and a 37-foot fifth wheel.
And they're both they're both haulers?
No, just the bumper pool is a toy hauler. We've been in it for about 5 years, and just this year, actually, we decided we've had enough.
Well, my experience is a little unusual in the sense that I bought a used 2008. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful on the outside and the cabinetry and the inside. It looks brand new. It's worn out from the inside.
Interesting.
And I'll tell you how that happens. It rides so roughly. It jumps up and down and left and right. It rubbed all the God blessed wiring, the insulation on the wiring, and now it's shorting out. Now, where are those defects? How do you find those? As you know a little bit about automobiles and RVs, electrical problems are the hardest to troubleshoot. They're all weaved throughout the cabin and underneath everything. It's just,
especially in a Class A.
So let me tell you about today. My RV's been there for 2 months, working on different things. It's all fixed today. $6,000.
Oh, wow.
$6,000 is all fixed. So I take an Uber and come out here to pick it up, and we get on there and we're testing out some of the stuff that's supposed to be fixed. It's not fixed. And so I'm now getting to ride back in a Tesla back to McKinney.
Well, at least there's that.
Yeah, at least, yeah. I'm looking at, you're saying, look at the positive side of it.
Yeah, so we have a 2020 and a 2022, and both of them have been in different service centers multiple times.
And you know what the moral of the story is? They're all pieces of shit.
I would agree with
all
that.
Of them.
And what's even worse than that is I have not yet met a service center that's competent.
That's what?
competent.
Oh, yeah.
They're terrible. I think there's an amazing opportunity for somebody to come in and build a RV service center that actually does timely work at a fair price and good quality work.
I think you're right on target. But I think the challenge is finding competent help. I mean, how many guys in the United States of America are competent RV technicians? I bet there's less than 100 of them. It's just nobody thinks about working on RVs. Now, if you're a car mechanic and you kind of lean that way, you've got some mechanical ability, and you've been working on cars, you might upgrade. But I have a very good friend that owns RV. He's got one dealership's got 8 locations, probably a $50 million revenue business, maybe 50 to 75 revenue. So he's no small mom and pop shop on the corner.
Wow.
And good friend of mine, we've played golf for years. I said, okay, I want to buy an RV. I'm quitting playing golf. I want to buy an RV. And I said, I want to buy it from you because I know you'll find me a good one and you'll make me a good deal on it. He said, well, I'd like to do that for you. Now keep in mind, this is a very good friend. This is not acquaintance. He said, I'd like to do that for you, but I'm reluctant to sell you one. Oh, I was surprised to hear him say that.
You might have stopped there.
You're way ahead of me. You're finishing my story. Because what he told me, I said, well, why not? He said, if I sell you, and you're going to probably buy a used one, right? Yep. And I'm going to buy a used one. There's going to be parts. I'm going to have problems with it. And we may have trouble finding parts. And there's going to be in and out of service. And he says, I'm afraid it's going to affect our personal relationship. So, no, I'm not selling you one. So what he was telling me was they were all pieces of shit, and I didn't believe it.
Yep. They really are. And, you've seen some of these newer coaches, multi-millions of dollars. And I'm thinking, that's insane.
So, how about this for an RV story? I've owned mine 7 months. I've had it in my possession 3 weeks.
That's crazy.
And the problem that reared its ugly head on the test drive before I even signed the contract was, I don't know whether you got automatic levelers on your fifth wheel or whatever, but
I do.
Okay, so you're familiar with the leveling system.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a quickie leveling system. The thing's 25 years old, and there's no more parts available. So the jacks down warning light comes on during the test drive. Oh my God, this little red light's flashing, this siren's going off. Holy shit, what is that? Oh, the jacks are coming down. It's leaking. When they leak, they come down because they're not holding the hydraulic pressure. So they said, don't worry about that. We're going to fix that. Obviously, it's a problem. Just don't even worry about it.
Huh.
It is not fixable. It was there for 5 months. They scrounged up 4 used jacks because there's no new ones. They scrounged them from somewhere and put them on there. And one of them is defective and still leaks. So the siren still comes on. It was there at McLean's. They spent 4 or 5 hours trying to figure out what's wrong with it. They don't have any solution for it. They said, we give up.
Well, then they need to put a brand new system on there.
And so you need a new leveling system, and it's only $15,000. That's on sale too.
I feel like that should be covered.
Just $15,000.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, no, that's definitely a game that I would recommend people to stay away from.
It's to put it politely, it's not a sustainable recreational activity.
That's a great way to put it.
How about that for
I love
being
that.
tactful in play?
We had, we had some fun in them.
We had some fun, but I've owned it 7 months, been in my possession 3 weeks, took 2 short trips to Eisenhower. That's up in Lake Texoma. You're probably familiar with it. And so the only thing I can tell you my experience has been, for every pound of fun, there's 20 pounds of problems and expense.
That's so true.
No business case for it. None.
That is so true.
And the service manager at McLean's, he's a reasonable guy. He said, get rid of this thing. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Get rid of it.
Yeah. Usually, though, that's easier said than done. I still have both of mine. We couldn't get rid of them, so we rent them out.
Yeah.
Yep, I've got one out in Orlando. Rents out to people going to Disney World. And I've got one here in the Dallas area, and it rents out around. It was recently set up at the ACM Awards in Frisco. So some country singers were partying in my RV last week.
Well, at least you're offsetting some of the cost of it.
Yeah, that's the point. Let's see if we can't turn this liability into an asset, or at least somewhat. Oh, I guess they had some roof damage here.
So do the turn signals work automatically?
Yeah, all of it does. Turn signals, turning, braking, accelerating, all of it. Yep. And then you can see I get the blind
that's
spot,
the camera.
so
Okay.
I can just glance and make sure there's not an object there, a vehicle, and it goes.
It sure does ride nice.
It is a pretty smooth ride. This has air ride suspension.
Oh, it does. Okay.
And it's adjustable, right? So it'll adjust depending on the drive mode that we're in. We are in comfort.
Well, what's nice about it, you don't have to worry about running into the vehicle in front of you.
Yep, that, and I don't have to think about my exit. Should I be over right now? And you being a technologist, it has 360-degree cameras that the computer's constantly analyzing. So if it wants to switch lanes,
It looks around.
It's able to simultaneously monitor in all directions. So while it's checking to see if it's clear, it's also making sure that the car in front of me is not stopping and that there's not a car merging over here. And if you understand computer software, it's easy to see how that is far superior to what a human's capable of doing. So it just makes sense.
Well, it's looking at 3 or 4 different things at one time, where a person can only look at one thing at a time.
Yeah, that's right. Usually you're over your shoulder.
Right, exactly.
And you can't see that this car just slammed on its brakes and you're going to go right into their rear.
And so this vehicle computer is taking input from 3 or 4 different sources at one time.
Yeah, it's probably more than that. So you have all the cameras, you have map data, you have fleet data from other Teslas, and then it's using AI to analyze all of that. It can determine the size and speed of objects around it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Well, when Mr. Musk joined the Doge and started all that government cutting, And people decided to stop buying his cars.
They went further than that. They decided to start burning them.
They were firebombing them.
Yeah.
Molotov cocktails. And
I don't understand that. I'm all for freedom of speech, but why would you destroy John Smith's car? It doesn't make any sense to me. Don't buy it. Make your statement.
well, it's the same guy that shot the United Healthcare CEO.
Yeah.
Some people get all bent out of shape. In today's environment, violence seems to be the solution to all problems.
Yep.
Just get a gun and shoot somebody. I'm pissed off, and so I'm going to shoot somebody.
Yes.
It's like we're going back to the Wild West. The sheriff is going to make us check our guns when we come into town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most people don't think these days.
So, do you do this for a career, or what did you do as a career?
No, I don't do this as a career. This is a passion project. Because of all of the misinformation out there about Teslas and the technology, I decided to document my story, and I built a YouTube channel, and then I just drive around and let people experience it. Professionally, technologist. I'm an agile program manager.
And who do you work for? Well, I've been retired many years. I retired in 1998, so a lot of the stuff has passed me by.
Yeah, that's the year I graduated high school, so that's about when I got started.
Well, we started the IBM consulting company in 1991, and we brought Bob Howe from Booz Allen Hamilton, and he was our practice leader. And I started with Bob Howe in 1991. I was one of the first 50 management consultants. We started the services business because we figured out we go into a Fortune 500 company. If we fix their processes first, before we even talk about technology, fix the process first, then automate the new process, you can get magnitudes of performance increase versus percentage increases. And so that's why today IBM's revenue is 85% services, consulting services.
Yep, it's big business.
Because technology now, in a lot of cases, has become a commodity. A PC's been a commodity for 30 years. And IBM got out of the PC business for that reason. They didn't want to sell cotton balls and underwear.
Right. Yeah, consulting services.
I think it was a mistake for IBM to get out of the PC business because it was a good technology decision, but what happened is they lost contact with the grassroots end user. And so that's where Microsoft has excelled. And Apple, by the way, has excelled. They're end user, and that's where the growth was. There's only when you're dealing with Fortune 500 companies, there's almost so much expansion that you can deal with, and you're competing with other people for that business. And you ask people on the street today, you go out to New York City and you say, "Have you ever heard of IBM?" No, what is that? I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about their name is I'm sure everybody's heard of them, but probably not very many people could tell you what they do.
Yeah, well, they don't know that they're a services company now. But that was quite a realization that the process part of the technology business became king. Because, of course, Mr. Amdahl left IBM and developed another competitive large system. So and it was IBM-like technology, so IBM no longer had the lock on the large systems market. So the competition grew even in the big iron. But from what I see today, just as a retiree, customer of different companies, all these companies can automate, but they don't know how to use it. This doesn't work. This, you get in this app, or not an app, on this application on their main website, and it doesn't work right. You call somebody and say, hey, this doesn't work. Oh, it doesn't? Well, we haven't heard of that. We don't know even what that is. Because it's developed down in the basement somewhere,
Yep.
So you can install it, and I don't know what you see from Citibank, but you gotta be able to develop it, install it, and work it, and have the people understand how to use the technology. Its best advantage.
Yep.
Fascinating. I miss work. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So what's the range of this Hummer?
So on a full charge, it'll get 330 miles.
330. And do you have a charger at your house?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
is it the quick charge or is it the long charge?
So it's a level 2, and it takes about 7 hours for me to charge.
7 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's overnight. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I know. I mean, every morning it's full. So there's probably outlying scenarios that could cause me a problem if we lost power for days, which has never happened to me.
So one of my neighbors has got a new Honda electric. It is beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, they've really come a long way.
And what's interesting, he said, well, come here, come and drive it. And I said, no, I don't want to. He said, come on. So I started driving it, pushed on the gas, pushed on the electric, not the gas. Thing took off, and I let my foot off the gas, and I was going to put on the brake, and the thing stops.
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me, this is like a golf cart.
Yep, regenerative braking. Yeah, it starts to brake when you ease off of the gas. Yeah, took a couple of hours to get used to it, but I love it now. I mean,
that's the way golf carts have been that way for years.
Yeah, yep. And it brakes smoother than a regular car. And then it's just instant energy. When you mash on the accelerator,
just instant, huh?
Yeah, this car has 600 horsepower and it will fly.
600?
Yes.
Wow.
It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. Which, most people are like, oh, that doesn't sound all that impressive. It'll throw you back in your seat.
So your YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
Do you sell advertising on it?
No, the channel's still too new to be monetized.
Okay.
But it may get there someday. And we just post like this. I'm recording this trip, so I'll put this up on YouTube.
So this is a GoPro?
It's similar. It's an Insta 360 Ace 2.
Okay.
Yep. And that's the view. And then here's a microphone. So it picks up our conversation, and I'll edit out things that are revealing in any way, identifying.
Well, you ought to play it for potential RV owners and record our conversation.
Yeah, so
they're pieces of shit.
Yeah, they'll get a kick out of the RV conversation. They'll like the IBM talk, for sure. That editing process can be a bit grueling, like especially for this video. This video is going to be very long, but what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll play it from start to finish, and I'll remove any identifying information. So I'll pull out the part about where I was talking about where I work. I'll pull out the part where you mentioned the RV company that your friend owns.
Yeah.
I'll remove that little piece. I'll leave the story, but I'll remove the piece about what RV company it is, so that there's no way anybody could potentially identify anybody. Or sometimes I won't. I've never had anybody ask me not to post, but I would honor that. Yeah, I've done a lot of consulting services. I used to do consulting for a company called Avanade, which is a subsidiary of Microsoft. Professional services, automation. How's the temperature?
It's fine, thank you. Yeah, that camera's all around camera. That's really high definition. My I've got 360 degree cameras on my RV, but it's all black and white, and the depth perception is terrible. You can't really see too much. It's not even, you can't even rely on it because of the depth perception issue.
Yeah, the technology is impressive. Well, your coach is a 2008.
Yeah.
So that would have certainly been
not too bad for 2000.
Yeah, a little bit ahead of its time there.
Yeah. Well, Winnebago is a good brand. It's a quality. You can tell the coach work is really high quality. But it's just you're an owner. It's just a complex device. It's part bus and part house.
Yeah.
But all the things that have gone wrong with mine are just off the charts. It's like, how can this many things go wrong with it? I mean, well, I'd expect mine. You use vehicle one or two or three things would go wrong. Not 15.
Yeah, I'm really sorry you're having that kind of trouble. It's so disappointing.
And then having the dealer charge you $6,000 and tell you it's all fixed and all ready to go, and then you get out there and it doesn't work, and you're taking an Uber back and forth.
Yeah.
How about that for icing on the cake?
Yeah, that's a bad day. That's a bad day.
And but I don't know. Reflecting back on my career, the harder it gets, the harder I try. And I don't give up very easily. I don't know how you are.
Oh yeah, I know.
And it's kind of like, my analogy is, people ask me, well, what my neighbors say, what's it like having an RV? And I tell them, well, you remember the camel ad years ago? Would you walk a mile for a camel? And if you were a camel smoker and you were out of cigarettes, you might walk a mile for a camel. Now, my question to you is, would you walk 50 miles for a camel? Oh, absolutely not. That's stupid. Why would I do that? Now, I'll finish the analogy by asking you, if you're a camel smoker, would you walk any distance for a camel? And your next question is, well, how far do I have to walk? And the answer is, I don't know. You just start walking.
Right.
And you'll know when you find it. It could be 50 feet down here. You may never find it. So just start walking. And the only time you quit is when you give up. That's the analogy I'd give anybody thinking about buying an RV. Are you going to walk till you find your camel?
I like that.
That's a description of what it is. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm walking. I've been walking 7 months and I haven't found my camel yet. And the chances of me ever finding it with all the problems I'm having are very high.
I'm sure there are people out there who have had great experiences.
I'm sure there are, you know.
And I haven't had, your story sounds worse than mine. I haven't had horrible experiences. Mine were minor issues. That, yeah. But it did seem to be true that every time we took it out that I would have to fix something.
Well, the thing with the jack's problem, the jack problem is not fixable. There are no parts. The only solution is to put a new system in for $15,000. Now that's a real shocker.
I just, I feel like there should just be a little bit more consumer, protection. So like when you were on the test drive and that alarm came on, they said, don't worry about it. We'll fix that.
It was a condition of the sale, had nothing to do with the warranty.
That's right.
The condition of the sale, that would be fixed. And here it is 7 months later and it ain't fixed. And they told me 4 times it was fixed. I've been to Denton and back 7 times. Just to I-35 RV, the dealer, on that issue. And it's still not fixed. I've had 1,000 miles on my car. Jeez. Sorry for the rant.
Yeah, well, I get it.
You know what it's all about. I mean, and then I drove. I've been to McLean's over there where you picked me up. I've been over there 4 times in the past 2 months, and it's 80 miles round trip.
Yeah, that's quite the haul.
But back to your comment about somebody ought to build a world-class RV service center where you call up and you got a professional advisor. Maybe they even wear a suit. I don't mean that literally, but the professionalism on a 1 to 10 is 9.5. They schedule you. They know what the problems are. They get it in. They fix it in 2 days, and you're gone.
That's right. Yep.
Rather than this dicking around with only 2 people in the DFW know what the flip they're doing.
Yeah, I think a service center like that would do quite well because I've been to multiple different dealers and it's always the same story.
Yep.
And with service, first of all, so you call and you're like, hey, I need to get some service. They're like, oh, we can get you in 3 months from now. Okay. So you wait 3 months and you take it in. And you would expect that because you waited 3 months that they would be able to fix it and then you'd be on your way in a couple of months. They will have it for months.
Exactly.
Months.
I asked the shop foreman. I was in a discussion with the shop foreman at McLean's there about an issue with my RV. And I said, you've had this vehicle for 5 weeks. I said, do you see a problem with that? You know what he said? No, this is normal. Of course, they're not worried about it. What I'd like to say is, hey, these things rent for $300 a night, and you've had it, let's see, 6 weeks. How many days is that? 42 days times 300 days. That's $12,000 you owe me.
Exactly.
Because it's loss of use. It may not be $12,000, but it's something. I can't use the vehicle, and you're over there dicking around with it. And what's your name, by the way?
Mike.
Mike. What they do, and I'm a process guy. I did that for a career. they use what's called a sequential process when they work on these vehicles. They got 5 problems. They go to problem number 1. They diagnose, order the parts. They're on order for 10 days. They come in and they fix problem number 1. Then they go to number 2, and the part's on order for 5 days, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you add it all up, the parts ordering time could be a month and a half just to order parts, because they don't order them at the same time. Now, in a parallel process, you're a technology guy, I could talk all day with you. In a parallel process, they would diagnose the 5 issues and get all the parts for the 5 issues and order them all one time and have it 10 days rather than 50.
That's right.
But do they do that? No. And you know what the service manager told me? This is gonna shock you. I took it in on a Monday, and he said, we should know something by Friday. In other words, just some general diagnosis. And I called him on Friday, and I said, hey, what's going on? He said, we haven't even looked at it yet. And I said, well, why did I bring it in on Monday? Why did I bring it in Monday? It's sitting over there on your lot in the goddamn hailstorms. Why did I do that? You know what he said? You can come pick it up if you want. Yep. Holy shit. What an arrogant, disrespectful comment.
That, and there's just no...
You can come, we're the only game in town, and you take it somewhere else. Be my guest. Just go do it. Like, fuck you.
Yep.
God damn.
Yep.
It'd almost be worth it to drive it into Lakes Louisville just to see it go down. The nightmare would be over.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. If you're lucky, it'd probably float.
I would enjoy. I'd sit there and I'd video the whole thing going down.
Yeah, maybe it would be a better houseboat.
Well, I could tell you this, Mike. It would be a better boat anchor for a big ocean liner. They might pay me something. You know, I don't know how much an anchor is.
Yeah, probably not too cheap.
Yeah, we're going right to the right here at this little sign. Boy, this thing did good. Then we go back to the left and we're about there.
Yeah, that was an uneventful drive.
Unfortunately, I don't like the Tesla because it stops completely at stop signs. I'm not used to that.
Yeah, no, I've had people will honk at me, and it's funny because it actually does it correctly.
Exactly.
And people honk at me, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it, but because I'm a human driver, but like, you're supposed to actually stop. That's
exactly right. It's doing it correctly. So we're right here by the fire plug here. Well, Mike, I enjoyed my ride. Good luck to you and your RV.
Well, good luck to you and yours.
Oh my God. I'm going in. I'm having some vodka.
That sounds like a plan. You have a good evening.
See you later.